Welcome to Inside JCU. I'm your host, Ramon Lascano, and today I'm joined by Joe Ginley, Sports Information Director here at John Carroll. Joe, welcome.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you guys again for having me. It's a pleasure.
Awesome. So for those of you that don't know Joe or don't know your role here, can you explain what you do here at John Carroll as a Sports Information Director?
Sure. So once again, thank you for having me, Ramon. It's it's always fantastic to talk about students with what my work is like, and of course what the John Carroll Athletic Department is like. So in terms of sports information, we're in charge of athletic communications for all 25 teams now. We've added field hockey. So what that looks like is we do everything from broadcasting to social media to digital media to live stats, live broadcasts, which of course JCU Studios is very involved with. Hey, it's a pretty wide-reaching job, but anything athletic communications is what sports information is all about. So really at the end of the day, our job is to tell the stories of student athletes and to really talk about all the great things about John Carroll sports.
Awesome. So you mentioned you have 25 teams and there's a lot of aspects, keeping track of different sports. What would you say is the main aspect within covering sports at the college level?
Sure, absolutely. So really, the biggest thing is publicity, right? Especially at the Division III level, right? So if you look at any university in the country, they have a sports information department, right? Now, each one looks a little bit different, right? In terms of, if you go to Ohio State, they're going to have 10, 15, full-time people, plus they're going to have, of course, paid freelancers, whatnot. Now, at the Division III level, of course, we don't have necessarily the exposure, right? We're not on the Big Ten Network. We're not broadcasting games on ESPN. So it's our job to really do the work of the media, right? So without that coverage of ESPN or Fox News, or whatever it is, our job is to get the word out there in terms of how the Blue Streaks are doing, right? And that includes scores, recaps, results. But our job is really to be the publicity arm, right? And make sure everyone from students like yourself to to alumni, to coaches, to hey, just dedicated parents and fans, that they know what we're doing and what we're about. So the broadcast side is really one gigantic element that we work on that takes of course a lot of work and a lot of dedication. But it's really the communication side of things. And then, for us, what that looks like is that we have myself, the sports information director, and we have a couple of freelancers, in terms of one assistant, and then we also have Jamie Daly, who helps out, Ryan Taransky, and then Joe Dreyer, who's half volleyball, half sports information. And we have 50 students, which is pretty fantastic. So that is actually more than Ohio State has, believe it or not, in their sports information office. Big. So so that's what we're about.
So you started to answer my next question, which was, what are the challenges of this job? So you mentioned, being Division III, you have to get the word out, letting the parents know, scorekeeping, all the different aspects. So, what other challenges do you find in the job, and what is also rewarding, being the sports information director here?
So hey, every job has its challenges, every job has its rewards, right? So there's a lot of different things in my job that are really challenging, especially with the time aspect, right? So hey, time is something you can't get back, right? You have a limited amount of time, so my job as sports information director is to maximize it, right? And what that looks like too is working with the students and trying to make sure that their time is maximized, right? So I have a group of students, it's my job to play point guard and make sure, hey, each student is doing the right job that's right for them, right? So it's my job to make sure the photographers are in position to get the right shot. It's my job to make sure for stats we have the right people in position to take the stats, and then after the game, I have the right people on the recap to, put in context what that is. So really the time and really the coaching is something that is a challenge. However, that's also one of the biggest rewards, right? Is watching our students grow and succeed. That's really the best part, right? When we have an alum, such as, Ashley McCall, who started off, doing broadcasts here and writing, and now she's working for the Buffalo Bills full time. Like, that's the most rewarding part, is when we have, students here who they learn, they grow, and they go off and do big things in the world. That's the most rewarding part, because hey, you can say that you had a small impact on someone's career and then ultimately life, right? Like, that's pretty powerful.
It's awesome. You mentioned like it's a double-edged sword, having to delegate roles, taking the time to save time, and it leads to, like you mentioned, we have a bigger production, student-wise, we have a bigger production squad than Ohio State. So you mentioned that, being connected in the NFL and having, being able to be that bridge for students to get jobs, that's really rewarding. So that's really awesome to hear. Well, Joe, thank you for taking the time to spend with us, students and athletes alike. Thank you for all your work that you do here, and thank you.
Absolutely.